Communication. We have to understand that this is the most important thing in a relationship. But let's get to the root of this, especially with my sisters and my brothers too, but especially my sisters. Communication is very important for you finding out what really is going on in a relationship. It's essential, it's vital. And because communication is not really being effectively done and basically communication is not being sought after, it causes a lot of confusion, a lot of problems in the relationship. This is what I mean. With each and every relationship, when someone meets someone else, everybody has something called intent. That means you have an intention, a purpose for that person that you just met. If you're approaching them, they're approaching you, or what have you. You're gonna form that intent pretty quickly when you start to meet that person. I mean, almost immediately you're gonna figure out, okay, what's my intent with this person? Am I interested in them for something long term? Am I interested in them with just a smash and go type of situation? What is the intent here? Every person has it in that particular situation. The man has his intent, the woman has her intent. Now what we have to understand is, there's three ways this thing gonna go. It's gonna go either the way the man intends it to go, the way the woman intends it to go, or if you both have the same intent, then it'll go the way that you both want it to go. But this is where the problem lies. It's in communication. The only way that you're gonna find out if that person's intent, if that man's intent is the same as yours, is if you communicate with him. If you don't wanna communicate with him, you won't be able to find out his intent. And it's just no other way around it that I know of. It's communication. You have to do it. I know there's people out there that don't want to ask questions or don't want to have these lengthy conversations, but that's the only way you're going to really find out someone's intent. Think about it. If you were doing an investigation, the police, they're going to come and they're going to have an interview with you, but they may have 2 or 3 interviews. Why? Because they want to sit up here and make sure that your intent or whatever it was that you did, your story, stays the same. They're gonna ask you the same question, sometimes a different way, just to see if you give the same answer to it. And it's the same way with communication when it comes to relationship. Meaning, if that person's intent is not to really have a long-term relationship with you, you have to understand that that's that person's intent, but the only way I can find out is if I ask the questions that I need to ask to get to that intent. So if I'm doing that, then I'll be able to find out, does this person want the same thing I want? Now, we can go with that. I won't ask the questions. I don't want to find out this person's intention type thing. And then what we're leading ourselves into is a situation of hoping that your intent is going to either overrule his intent or that maybe, hopefully, y'all are both on the same page. But it's a guessing game. And why would you want to guess? I mean, this is your time, this is your energy, this is all of the things that you're putting into this to make it work. Why do you want to guess at that? You don't have to guess, you can communicate. When you communicate, you'll be able to figure out what this person is wanting, what their desires are, and if they lie about it, then hey, you got them. They told you straight up, honestly, this is what they wanted, and then they changed. Okay, you got them. But it has to start with communication. When it comes down to it, you have to ask those questions. You have to be able to say, hey, I want to know what's going on. And it needs to happen before you get intimate. That's right. It needs to happen before you get intimate. Because that way you'll find out what this person's true intent is. If they really intend on being with you, especially long term, then they're not going to have a problem with you asking questions. They're not gonna have a problem with taking a little time for you to find out really where this person stands. If they have a problem with that, more than likely their intent is something short term. And if their intent is short term and yours is long, one of you all are not gonna get what you desire. And I think it's really about you both getting what you desire. Or if you're not both gonna get what you desire, then you can leave each other alone and you can move on to somebody that wants the same thing you want. So, I have to say this, and I have to emphasize this because it's so important. It's about intent. You have to find out what that person's intentions are. You have to find out what your intentions are with this person. and to make sure that the intent that you have with them are good, just like the intent you want them to have with you is good. So that's what we got to talk about. That's what we need to make sure we do. The only way we can really make sure that is communication. We have to communicate. There's no other way around it. And we need to communicate before we get intimate. Get intimate is a whole different ball game. So you have to do this up front beforehand. It's tough, I get it. And I understand there's this thing called FOMO, fear of missing out. And I get it. You meet somebody, they look like you want them to look, they act like you want them to act, they have the swag or whatever you like, and you don't want to mess this up. You don't want this person to just say, hey, I'm gonna go get with someone else instead of get with her. Okay, I'm just gonna comply with whatever this person wants. Well, you're going along with that person's intent. Well, what if that person's intent is for a short period of time, just a quick in and out? Now, your intent might have been something more long-term, but because you didn't communicate that, because you didn't find out what his intent was, you just kind of went with the flow of things. Now you're in a situation where you have two different intentions. He's trying to pull away, you're trying to pull him in. Now, I know what you're saying to yourself right now. I can get him. Once that person gets with me and experience me, then guess what? He's gonna fall into my trap. He's gonna fall into what I want. I'm gonna have him tangled up in my web. And you might. So we're not gonna say that that can't happen. But here's the problem with that. If you do that, he's in your web, but the whole time he'll be fighting. The whole time he'll be trying to get away from it because that wasn't his intent. If his intent was short term and you're trying to reel him in and keep him there for much longer, then he's gonna be fighting this the whole time. And fighting it could mean I'm ghosting you from time to time, or even I'm cheating or being with other people because really my intent was just to be here for a minute and not for a long period of time. So that's what I'm saying. Intent is so important. Keep that word in your vocabulary and definitely understand I need to find out what this person's intentions are, his intent, her intent, and make sure that they line up with what I intend. Or maybe you're not ready to be with someone for a long period of time. So just understand that. Just a little tip, want to make sure that you're understanding that. Listen, I have plenty more that I want to give you. I got plenty of things that I want to share with you. So just keep coming back to this channel. I have a lot more tips, a lot more things that we can talk about. And of course, like this video, always subscribe to my channel, and just tell people about it. I'm out.